Hello, and welcome back to The Path. My guest today is Itzik Cohen Sensei from the Kyudokan and the Shimbukan. Cohen Sensei has been doing karate and kobudo for around 40 years. He has come to Okinawa on numerous occasions. In this interview, we talk about his training history, as well as how it is to train in an Okinawan dojo, as well as specific things about the Kyudokan and specific things about the Shimbukan. Cohen Sensei has also written a book, the link will be in the description of this video, about Okinawan karate and culture. Okay, let's get right into the interview. Well, nice to meet you, and thank you for coming to do this interview.
Thank you very much.
For people who may be not familiar with you, could you give us a sort of background of you, of your training?
Well, I do karate around 40-something years, and since I was a teenager, I started with shito-ryu karate, and then I also did kobudo, and later on I started to get interest in the more Okinawan karate, and that's how actually I came through this path to Okinawa and shorin-ryu karate, which I do today.
How long did you practice shito-ryu in Israel?
I think nearly 40 years, a bit less than 40 years.
Okay. And how did you make the transition from shito-ryu to Okinawan karate? Did you just show up in Okinawa, or?
No, it's never like that. You know, actually, I had the privilege to start with Thomas Weber Sensei and his disciple Itzik Florentine Sensei in Israel. And Thomas Weber Sensei is a very pragmatic man. You can see it in his life, in his history, and his karate too. And I think in the last 13 years, 14 years in shito-ryu, within his group of shito-ryu, he let me also to develop my way and still stay under shito-ryu. So, and I continue to do shito-ryu actually. And I got more involved with Okinawan karate, and at a certain point, well, I'm still in good contact with my sensei, Thomas Weber Sensei, but the organization in Israel was keen to exist. And then officially I could start a new way in shorin-ryu karate. During that time I started kobudo with Akamine Sensei. It was around 2000, and then I also got more familiar with Okinawan martial arts, kobudo and karate. And so I can say that around 2000 I started to get more interested in Okinawan martial arts.
Is there a reason why, I know that shito-ryu has goju-ryu and shorin kata both from Mabuni Sensei?
Yes.
Is there a reason why you chose shorin over the goju, or it's just?
Well, since I'm really excited about Okinawa culture and history in particular, I thought that shorin-ryu is a more kind of a type of a school for me personally. There is no better than one. One is not better than the other. But I also tried. I trained a little bit goju-ryu and even uechi-ryu a little bit. But I was not an official member, and it was not for a long time. It was just an experience. But I was quite sure that I want to do shorin-ryu karate because this is more rooted back to history. So I still think, you know, when I talk with the senseis here and in Israel and all over the world, from goju-ryu sensei, and We quite agree that Okinawan karate in general is Okinawan karate. Then, of course, there are differences between shorin-ryu and shorin-ryu, but there are also a lot of common field is very wide, and we agree about it. So for me, shorin-ryu was the best possibility, the best route, and also the school that I chose. I don't know. I still don't know if I chose the school or the school chose me, but it was quite natural process.
Well, maybe we could talk about the story about how you joined the Kyudokan.
Well, in short, it was a long process because from Israel, I looked for shorin-ryu school, and pretty fast I chose Kyudokan because a few reasons. First, it was quite a close approach to my previous sensei. Walking on the Macaiwara, being more dynamic, and ski is the main thing, and also I didn't look for kicks and fightings. I looked for the roots, I looked for the Orthodox school, I looked for the Kihon, kata and Kihon. This is what I looked for after 40 years, and I found that Kyudokan school is the right way for me. Then I approached my sensei, Kobudo sensei, Akamine sensei, on the phone from Israel, and I shared with him my thoughts, and I asked his permission to approach to Kyudokan. And of course, he was very happy, and he told me, hey, Higa sensei, Higa Minoru sensei is my friend, and I will introduce you in front of him. So it was kind of a win-win situation, and I thank Akamine sensei for that. Well, I came here, and the first, I think, 5 or 6 years, I was very, welcomed in Kyudokan, but they didn't consider me as a member. But I wanted to be a member. I consistently came and practiced and followed the instruction and the way and the atmosphere in the dojo, and I think that eventually Higa sensei kindly convinced that I'm sincere, that I didn't come to take photos or to take any menkyu or something, that I really looked for the karate, And since then, after I think around 5 years, I became a member in the dojo, official member in the dojo, and again I thank Higa sensei for the trust.
So how did you meet Akamine sensei? Was it seminars in Israel, or did you come here? Or?
Yes, there is a guy, Israeli guy, his name is Dror Rotter, and actually he first met Paul Vermilio sensei in Chiba. There is an annual event in Chiba, as you know. So, and then it was the first time that we've heard in Israel about the Kobudo school here in Akamine sensei. I think it was 1999, around 1999, and maybe 2000. And Dror called Efi sensei in Israel, which is my colleague and friend, also shito-ryu, and he told him about Akamine sensei. And then Efi sensei, which is really a true heart person.
I met him.
You've met him?
Yeah, about 20 years ago now, I think.
Very special person, very keen about karate, very ethic person, very direct person. And he immediately asked Dror to ask Paul Vermilio sensei if there is a possibility to bring Paul sensei and Akamine sensei to Israel And they came to Israel indeed. This was the first time in Israel.
I probably remember that trip actually, when Paul was still in Okinawa at that time, or did he?
I don't remember. He was still in Okinawa. It was a bit, I think it was a bit after he left Okinawa, and maybe I'm wrong, but...
trying to remember exactly when I met Effie Sensei. Anyways.
If you met Effie Sensei, I think he was here, yes, 3 times, a long time ago twice, and last year he was here again.
Yeah, I met him a long time ago here.
I think maybe 1992, 1993, no, 2003.
Yeah.
2002, 2003.
Because I didn't come until about 1999, so.
Yeah.
So what did you like about Kobudo when you first started practicing it?
Well, this is a bit embarrassing, to be honest, because I didn't like Kobudo so much. I liked karate. Kobudo for me was kind of Hollywood movies and Bruce Lee and kind of stuff that I didn't like, the nunchaku and all this stuff. It's nice, but it was half a circus for me. But since I had a dojo with students, and since I got the impression that Takamine Sensei, Paul Sensei, also in karate, not only in Kobudo, very serious people, very serious persons, then I felt obligated towards my students to bring this option for them, not for me. It took me actually a few years to really get connected to Kobudo and to internalize Kobudo.
So you grew to like it after a few years, or?
Yes, it took a few years. It took some time until I really, actually, I don't know. When I say few years, I can say maybe 6 or 7 years, not 1 or 2 years. 6 or 7 years, I kind of, at the beginning I disliked it, then I started to like it a little bit, but I still felt that it's kind of, it's not my way, it's not my path, something is wrong there, but I continue to do it since I was already a few years with my sensei. I also felt obligated to my sensei. First it was for my students, then for my sensei. And only then I really started to get connected to Kobudo.
So what would you say the difference between how you train in shito-ryu and how you train in Okinawan karate and Kobudo? Would you say there's much of a difference between them, or?
Oh yes, but everything is good. There is no better. And the comparison is always not only between schools or among schools. It's also among the senses and their attitude, personality, experience. I think that my sensei, Thomas Weber Sensei, was not a common sensei in shito-ryu. He was very dynamic, with shito-ryu also more dynamic maybe, but he was also had some kind of power producing, similar, not exactly the same, but similar to Okinawan karate. I think maybe this is the main link that attracted me. The pragmatism and the essence of power. Not only being light and fast and agile, also to have something behind, something pragmatic behind. Shito-ryu, Sanshinkan shito-ryu, which is Thomas Weber, was really very dynamic, even comparing to other shito-ryu styles, schools, it was really dynamic. Shorin-ryu is more kind of, as I see it, going into details. You have to be very precise about each and every single detail. Shito-ryu you just do it, you know. You have to flow. And in shorin-ryu, before you flow, first you have to be very accurate. And this was something that I missed, you know, and now I have it. So I hope that I didn't lose the dynamic. Well, after 40 years of shito-ryu under Thomas Weber Sensei, I attract to the dynamic. I know to appreciate the dynamic, but I also appreciate very much the power production and getting into details, which I find in the orthodox Okinawan karate. It's also more internal. It's more meditative, and I finished the fight. You know, I don't have any wars in my life. Not with anybody else, and not with myself. You know, I want to live peacefully, and I do it for my character and enjoy. I enjoy it, you know, and not thinking about fighting. You know, if I need to fight, I fight. But you know, I think that about the last 25 years, I didn't have to fight on the street. You know, so and the wars are behind me. I participate wars. You know, it's behind me, and I do it for peaceful mind and not for self-defense.
What are the most common forms of martial arts in Israel? I know in Europe it's a lot of Shotokan.
Yes, definitely. When you talk about karate, Shotokan is the most common one. But the last 10, 15 years, you know, you see more Goju-ryu in Israel, Uechi-ryu a little bit more, and also shorin-ryu. I would say that Shotokan is still the biggest one.
Okay.
Yes, talking about karate. Yes.
I know a lot of countries in Europe, they also have a martial arts like governing body that people have to go through. Do you have anything like that in Israel, or?
Yes, we have something like that in Israel, but you know, we're getting into politics, you know, because there is this organization and that organization, and always, you know, it's not always. Some organizations are getting quite well with each other, but there is not really one big organization that concentrates everything, you know. There is the Shotokan, you know, in the tournament, they concentrate more in tournaments. Now they try to build some kind of traditional organization, so-called. Well, I find it really, really mutsukashi, really difficult to define traditional karate. What is traditional karate? I mean, if I see the Japanese flag, you call it traditional, so where is the Okinawan flag? So, you know, we are getting into more politics or more different ideas about karate, and I try to find the common in order to cross the bridge than to find what is unsuitable, you know, and break the bridge, you know. So I think this is the Okinawan way, you know.
I was thinking more about, I know in France they have, the government actually sanctions like a certain organization, and then everybody has to go through them. So it doesn't sound like that's like in Israel.
No. It's not structured like France. You know.
Well,
we have, you know, if somebody wants to be an instructor, you know, then he has to pass through a certain course and get a diploma, you know, that he is entitled to instruct. But this is because of the sport law in Israel. But nothing with karate as traditional martial arts.
Well, let's maybe talk a bit more about the Kyudokan. What do you do when you go to train at the Kyudokan? Like, how's a class sort of structured? You're my first guest from the Kyudokan, actually. Oh,
it's my honor and privilege, maybe. Well, first of all, to enjoy. I enjoy karate. Then, simply practice. asking sometimes questions because I'm gaijin, so I can ask questions. I have the privilege, to ask questions, not too many questions, and look around me, try to imitate and try to understand what people do and how they do it and why they do it, and learning out of practicing, not theoretically, but out of practicing. Sometimes, yes, I do ask questions. Also, the sensei sometimes approaches me, and if I have questions. Well, most of the time I say, Sensei, please, you decide. Do you want to learn kata? Do you want to, Sensei, you decide, And I came for Kihon. Kihon is the most important, and there are so many layers of Kihon that I think that for me it's enough. Only the Kihon. And this is what I do actually.
So,
Kihon and kata.
I know that Kyudokan is kind of famous for Macaiwara.
Yes.
So is there a lot of that?
Yes, Macaiwara is one of my best friends. Yeah.
And what about Chishi and things like that?
We walk sometimes about it, but I think it's also more kind of personal walk, Also Macaiwara is a personal walk, Well, you can say about it, personal walk about everything, actually. But Macaiwara, sometimes we walk, not in a group, in structured group, but 2 or 3 people together go to the Macaiwara and walk together. Chishin, okay, I do myself. It's not part of the training.
Okay.
There is Chishin then, and we work on it. And as you know, Kyudokan and Higa Sensei by himself is quite a strong, very strong build structured person. So it's important, and I think also that power. It's not everything, but as long as you produce power, the body must take this power back. It's like you cannot put an engine of Formula 1 on a small car. It will blow away, So you have to build your body, but not because you want to be strong, but because the body should take the power that you produce. So this is important. But Kyudokan, most of the training are about Kion, Kata, Macaiwara, and Tanren. Very important. Tanren.
So if maybe for people who don't know, what is that Taren?
Yeah, Tanren. So it's actually enduring. You have to work hard. You have to work with the body and with the mind. Sometimes the body, the training is so physical, so the body kind of almost cannot take it. And then you continue to work with your mind, Your adrenaline and your mind continue to work, and it keeps your body up. When it comes to speed, when it comes to enduring, when it comes to power production, when it comes to concentration, when it comes to koshi and the tanden, and you feel that you don't work anymore with the body. It's the mind which is actually navigates you. I think it's very important.
It's like sort of just working out to the point where you're exhausted and you can't continue, but it's a sort of a mental training then at that point?
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
I also think that one important part of doing karate, intentionally I don't say practice karate or training karate, but doing karate, is that when you maintain on doing the same thing and keep the same thing, as Tsuki, for example, for a long time, day after day, week after week, month after month, you actually work on a kind of meditative approach. Then you can really get into the technique. When you just do it and you practice, you do only 50 tsuki or 100 tsuki, and then you go, to the other technique and another technique and another technique, you might make the technique good. You technically will be good, But in order to comprehend the technique and to internalize it, it's not enough. This is the internal level. The internal level is the introspection. And in order to do it, you should concentrate yourself and do it again and again and again, while you are concentrating not only in the technique, but how do you feel about it from inside. Then you can also find very small things that you wouldn't find if you will work only technically.
How many hours do you have to work to get to that point?
Well, I don't have to work, I enjoy working, and for me, the last 10 years, I think I can, also in Israel and here in Kyudokan, before training, I come sometimes 2 hours before, 2.5 hours before, and working myself. Sometimes Sensei used to come and because he knew that I was there and correct me. In Israel, I run a class almost every day. I try to come 1 hour, 1.5 hours before the class and work myself. Kata, and most of the time on Kion, and I like the Kion very much. And by the way, I have my Macaiwara in my house in the saloon.
Okay.
So when people come, and they don't know, they come the first time, so they think it's to hanging the clothes, or something. But the Macaiwara is one of my best friends, as I said before.
So people might not know that you've written a book about Okinawan karate. What's the? I haven't had the pleasure of reading it yet. What's the title?
Karate Uchinadi.
Okay, and they can get that on Amazon, and
they can get it on Amazon.
I'll put a link in the video description that they can go and get it from Amazon.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I haven't read it. I flipped through it, but could you give us like what did you write about in the book? And
well, yes.
It's a really big book too.
Yes, yes. Actually, for the beginning, when I, there are so many books about karate, so many books, and then I think to myself, that my sensei didn't write the book. Some people that I really appreciate a lot, and I wouldn't say their name because they most of the time prefer to stay on the background. But they come to Okinawa on a regular basis for many years. They're really appreciated by the Okinawan teachers, the senseis, and they didn't write a book. So why I write a book, actually? Well, the answer is that I started many years ago, more than 10 years ago, and I didn't intend to buy a book. I just wanted to make some order to myself, the lineage in karate, because I like karate very much, and from all the books that I've read, I got quite a big library in my house, and articles, and the internet is open today, so a lot of stuff. And I wanted to make to order it, and to categorize it, and so I started from documentation to myself. Since I'm a computer programmer, which I don't deal today with computers, but I quit 15 years ago. It's also worth discussion about. But anyway, so I decided to build myself a digital kind of menu and small encyclopedia about karate for myself, documentation, personal documentation. Then after a few years, I noticed that actually it's kind of almost a research, Then I said to myself, okay, so let's make a research. And I start to get more academic approach and start to make the research. Well, after a few years, I understood that I actually have a book in a way. Then I started to edit it as a book. And the whole process took me around 10 years. Well, the book is actually not about karate technically. Of course it's technically, people are interested, especially in the techniques, But I felt when I decided to write a book, I didn't write a book about karate. For me, the dojo, karate is a spiritual activity. And when you talk about spirit, you have to know where you come from, I believe that if you want to look forward, you don't want to lose your direction, you must know the past. It doesn't mean that you have to stay in the past, but you have to know the past in order to do what you do in the present and to direct yourself to the future. Otherwise, you lose your angle, you lose your path, and then you lose karate, So I felt that there is not enough place for the Okinawan culture and history. And it disturbed me very much. So actually half of the book is about history, culture, geopolitics, all things that actually karate evolved from. And the second part is about the development of karate with a lot of references to the first part. Because if I say that, for instance, that I believe that if you look in a certain kata, you can find in the kata traces from security guards in the 500 or 600 years ago from the Ryukyu kingdom. Okay, everyone can say that. But how did I came to this insight? Where did I take it from? So here's the reference to the past. So someone must know what happened in Okinawa, in Ryukyu, 500-600 years ago, that left, that from that place we can see the traces of what we are doing today, actually. So for me it was very important. And I also wanted that the people that do karate will know the history and culture, because I think that, first of all, I feel obligated to Okinawa, and for me it's a privilege to, in certain way, to bring Okinawa culture to that people that haven't heard about Okinawa. So, and the second thing is that people will maybe understand better karate. Not only, do it as, parrot or monkeys that see something and imitate it and doesn't understand what they do. So this is the way this is the reason that I started to write the book. Now the book was full of references. I can say that in every 2-3 lines you would find reference. People could never read it, even myself, it was too much. So I started to reduce things. Then I started to take out a lot of material that I thought that it's too much for people. The book today is about 621 pages. It's a lot. Then I thought, okay, so it won't be exactly academic research or academic book, but it's almost academic, almost. Then I said, okay, so what I'm going to do, most of the people don't care about history so much, They want to see kicks and punches, and I said, okay, so this book is supposed to be for the layman and from the professional, so-called, the people that really want to get deeper into karate. So I decided to put it to divide it into 2 parts. The first part is more about history, culture, geopolitics, as I said before, and also it's everything is referred to karate, related to karate, but it's more about the package. The second half of the book is about the karate and how it suits this package. Then people that wouldn't like to read the first part can jump to the second part. I also, I had quite a few discussions with my great editor, by the way, Maureen Bloom. She's also an anthropologist, and she helped me a lot with the English and with the editing. Well, the discussion was about how I'm gonna write the book, how I'm gonna manage, the paragraphs. And I wanted to make a small summary after each big chapter. And I also wanted to put some, to return on things in some parts, repetitions.
Oh.
So I put some repetitions which are, some people don't like it, and I understand, because when you buy a book and suddenly you repeat yourself somehow, then you say, why did the writer put it twice, 3 times? Well, I'm not dumb, I've read it already. But in the introduction, I specifically explained that I edited the book in such a way that each one can find what he likes to. And if you miss some other parts, then you still should be in the picture. This is why there are small repetitions here and there. There are small repetitions, not big ones. But I think it's important because the context is very important. And if you read something without the context, you lose. And so, because of the context, it was important to me that everyone could find what he likes in that book and get it from the book.
So are you going to break it into 2 books, or are you just sort of separated them in the one book?
It's in a one book eventually. Okay. I thought to break it into two books, but then it was too important for me that people that want to read what I have to say, they will have the first one also. It's their choice if they want to read it or not. But I'm sure that even if they will not read it at the first or second reading, one day, because it's in their head already, they will look at the first part, which is, as I said, very important for me. I think it's that you cannot, I believe that you cannot really understand karate without the right context. And the right context is history, culture, geopolitics, and the environments, different environments that karate evolved from. Because karate was changed during the eras, in accordance to the needs, So if people do not understand the needs, how come they will understand karate? Even today, it's Facebook, Sometimes I put, I write something about self-defense. I am also close combat expert, and I put some bunkai kata or self-defense. People started to talk about, this is not practical. This is nobody attacks from behind, or nobody attacks from above, or well, they don't really know, because when you talk about close combat and self-defense, which are, again, karate is not self-defense, karate is close combat. Close combat, sometimes you are the bad guy. You're in the army, or you have to do some mission, and in order to that you have to initiate something. So you're not making self-defense, nobody attacks you. You are the one who wants to do something. So it's a completely different approach. Now, if you are an official security guard, or if you are a security guard in some pub, and you have to, select teenagers that full of hormones and alcohol, it's different scenarios. If a guy, big guy, you know, taxi driver or some policeman come to me and wants to me to teach him self-defense, it's not the same like a young girl that I need to teach her self-defense. It's completely different technique, different approaches. The threats are different. The aims are different. It's different. You know, it's not the same. So also about culture, you know, in some cultures, you know, in some places, some environments, even today, you know, people with knife they slash. In other places, they come to the stomach with a small, very sharp knife. They come from the bottom to the stomach. In Israel, sometimes when you have some terrorist events, you know, with knives, it comes from up, and most of the time like that. So it's completely different approach. So people should understand it when we deal with martial arts, and we deal with fighting art and karate. If you wanna take the fighting art in the karate in close combat or self-defense, then you have to understand that you have to be specific. There are no general things. Of course, there is some general common ground, you know, to all self-defense or all close combat. Of course, you know, we already the wheel was already invented. We cannot reinvent it. We can make different wheels. We can put them different colors, but the invention was already made. You know, so close combat is close combat everywhere. But when you go to a mission professionally, you have to aim specifically to that mission. And you also have to give some operational moves or operational action in case that something will get wrong. And you know that always something gets wrong. Yeah, but so this is close combat, you know. So if somebody on the internet claims that this is not right or that is not right or nobody attacks like, it really depends, you know. I think that people should be more open, and I would not say not to criticize, but I think that the one who criticizes should be experienced enough and knowledgeable enough in order to criticize. And I think that the internet world is very redundant, you know. So maybe this book will bring some, I will not say light, you know, because I'm not a prophet, but will bring something from the Okinawan culture and the Okinawan karate to the world that people, to the world of MMA.
Is MMA very popular in Israel? I know it's hugely popular.
Yes, yes.
But I think a lot of people, like you said, don't understand that there's a difference between fighting with rules and knowing when the fight's going to happen, as opposed to like you're going to be jumped in an alley by somebody. Like, those two things are quite different, but most people don't.
They don't.
They don't think about it as different.
They don't. First of all, I think that you have to experience it. If you never experience it, you cannot really understand it. Again, you can theoretically understand it. It's like, you know, it's like that you can be very good in performing technique, but you still don't do the technique. I think it's everywhere. You know, it's if you are a pilot, if you are a doctor, you know, medicine, you know, if you are in the computer engineering field, you know, you go to university, you know, and you study computers, and you are the best student, and when you go out to the market, when everything turns upside down, you know. So you got the tools, you got the basic, but now you need to find the way to be practical. And being practical there's only one way, be practical. Go to the streets and not fight. Okay, but I say that, you know, if you never get punched to your face and got to the floor, or the opposite, you know, if you never gave someone a punch and he was on the floor, then you don't know how to fight. I mean, this feeling of looking after yourself, you know, after you got a punch or a kick, you know, this feeling gives you something. And when you give somebody a punch or kick, and that feeling gives you something. And I don't say fight, I'm very delicate person, I never liked fighting, I fought here and there like everyone, when you're young you fight. But also in the dojo, if you want to be good in something, you should practice it. Also in the army, if you are in a special unit or if you are in a combat unit, you don't just sitting in, on your tactics, you go to the field and you have to fire, and sometimes with a real fire, and sometimes it's not, it's just an imitation of fire. And even though when you go to a real combat, a real fight, in the army, it's different. It's the first time when you understand that you're going to be, you can be killed, It's not the same, it's different. And I will not recommend people, okay, get to the army and go to a war and fight, and don't kill anybody, and don't let anyone to kill you. So it's not a recommendation, of course, war, it's the disgusting thing, disgusting, really, change your character completely. But it gives you some insight of good and bad, or should and shouldn't, and I think this is important.
It's like playing guitar in your bedroom and then having to play out in front of people. The added stress and the unpredictability of it all makes it a lot harder to do. Play the same song that you've played 100 times in your room, then you have to go and play in front of an audience.
Yeah, I like guitar. Did you try?
Yeah,
so you know what you're talking about.
I like guitar, yeah. So, so you said it took you about 10 years of getting all your materials together and editing it all together. Do you have any other plans for another book, or?
Well, yes, actually, I got not exactly a book, but yes, in a way, I got many people approached me and wanted to know more about techniques. Why didn't put more photos and techniques, and my answer, and I answer everyone, is that the technique is the most, how you say, the less important part, ingredient. It's the less important ingredient, but I understood that people want it. So what I do now, actually, I almost finished to write a new book, which is actually continuation of my previous book, which is more about the evolution from technical point of view. And in that book, you can find more about how the techniques developed and changed during the years. It's also more kind of my personal perspective. The first book I tried as I can to be objective. Well, you can never be objective, because if you write a book, but I try to be objective. This book is more about my point of view, how I see things, and I explain it, and it's open to discussion. If people would like to, then they're welcome. We don't have any evidences, but we can make kind of a research and go back in time and look for how the techniques look like and why. Because again, the environments, each environment got certain needs, and according to the needs, people used to work. I'm saying that nothing changed, only technology, which is a lot. But put technology aside, nothing changed. We're still the same people as we were before. Well, I think that the Okinawan people were always, in history, were very pragmatic people. I think that the Champulu culture, the mixture, is actually not like many people think that, okay, so they took something from here, something there, they mix, they shaked it, and that's it. No, it was not like that. And karate, it's not Japanese, it's not come from Okinawa, it's not come from Japan or China, or karate is Okinawan. It came from Ryukyu. It's true there were eras that there was big influence from China and also from Japan. But the stem was local, Okinawan. And then the Okinawan make the mixture, and they are very pragmatic people. And they knew what to take and how to put it together and still keep on the initial Okinawan approach. And this is, I think, very nice. And this is why I'm saying that Okinawa is not Chinese. It didn't come from Fuju, or it didn't come from Japan. Yeah, of course, no doubt about it, that there are not a lot of Chinese material in karate, and in Japan, and some, even Siam, I talk about Siam, and, but it's, first of all, it's Ryukyun, reactor.
Yeah.
And another thing is that, everyone can talk today, everyone can write today, and a lot of people write, whether they buy, it's very easy to establish, to publish books and to write in or sense Facebook or Grandmaster YouTube. Everything is so open today. And people, when you read the post, it looks like equal, because everyone is equal. But it's not, A guy a 16 guy that started to do karate 2 or 3 years ago can write a post, and since he knows how to write nicely, he can write something and people will believe it, you never know. See that a lot of, kuchibushi today. The reason in Uchi Naguchi, nice explanation, is a kind of kuchigangana yaku tatai. Kuchigangana yaku tatai. Which means that
someone fights with their mouth.
Well,
argues.
If someone is talking too much, it doesn't worth it as a person. So a lot of people talk, and lots of talking about this is not true, and this is bullshit, and this is like that, and this is, and we do it better, and stop talking. Just too many, and also I think in Okinawa, people would like, or sensei would like to know where you come from, not who you are. Don't tell me who you are, tell me where you come from. So this is very important. When people come to my dojo, sometimes people come and they say, okay, I'm a black belt, or okay, who is your teacher? How many years do you train? Did you go from teacher to teacher, from dojo to dojo, or you stayed in my dojo? I don't care about your rank, I don't, I want to know. So this is very important also.
I'm happy that...
Makarachibiti, I think it. This is also Uchinaguchi. I think it's Makarachibiti. Where do you come from? Then I know. Because if this man came from a certain place, certain dojo, certain sensei, and he was there for a long time, I know, I can trust him. It's okay.
I'm happy that you I think people on the internet, they always overstate the influence that China has on Okinawan martial arts to the point where people think that doing Chinese martial arts helps them understand Okinawan martial arts better. And I'm like, I don't think it was that big of an influence, and I'm glad that you reached the same conclusion. I just look at it and go, I don't think they're very related. But
It's, you know, in a way it's the same, but it's really very different. In the core of it, it's different. I trained a little bit also some other martial art, a little bit Aikido, Shingi. Shingi, people told me, we produce the power differently than your karate. So I said, what do you mean? No, we come from the tantien, from the center. Karate comes from the side. And I say, no. Like you can produce power in few ways, there are few ways to, also in karate. And even if we come from the side sometimes, it's not only the side, we also use tanden, a lot of tanden, you know, but you can't explain tanden, you know. So I try to, you know, to see that there are many things in common, which is very important, but still there are many differences. If you do Chinese martial arts, it's not karate. If you do Japanese martial arts, it's not karate. Karate is karate, especially Okinawan karate, which is, I personally believe, completely different than any other karate. You know, this is maybe not for the video, but no, I don't understand why people call it karate. I don't want now to put everyone on me, you know, but if you do karate, you do karate. If you do something that looks like karate, but it's not karate, so don't call it karate. I mean, this is...
This is the reason why I started this program, is because there's so many people claiming to do karate, but actually don't do it. They're just doing something else that, like you said, looks similar, but it's not the same.
Yes, it's not the same. It's okay if they like it and they want it. It's okay, but as long as they understand that what they do is what they do, and what Okinawan karate is what Okinawan karate is.
Well, I guess we're coming up on, pretty soon. We're coming up on an hour. Is there anything you want to finish with, or anything you want to say before we wrap up? Or?
Well, before I would say thank you, you know, I wrote a few things, but I can maybe look if I forgot something. But no, I think I wanna thank you for that privilege to have me here in your program, and thank you for the interview.
Well, thank you for agreeing to do it.
I also want to thank my sensei. I think it's very important, you know, because what I know from my sensei and colleagues during the years, and Thomas Weber sensei, which was my sensei since my not childhood, but since I was a teenager, you know, mid-teenager, and I want to thank Akamine sensei, and I want to thank Higa sensei that having me here. For me, Okinawa is my house, is my home. People sometimes say, you know, welcome back home. You know, when I come home, and I feel like that. You know, and it's thanks to my teachers and colleagues.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.